Hi, I am Patrick Chen from the University of New South Wales, Australia. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a virtual machine to deploy your learning management system, Moodle, and a Stack engine. First of all, what is Stack? Stack stands for System for Teaching and Assessment Using Computer Algebra Kernel. It is essentially an assessment system specialized for mathematics, sciences, and related disciplines. Surely you can have some multiple choice or short answer questions for your math exam, but they may not be able to meaningfully assess whether a student really knows how to solve a problem, as opposed to guessing or simply substituting value to a given equation. Stack actually goes beyond these basic question types. For starter, it can evaluate mathematical expressions, so you can check if a student knows the formula and how to apply it to solving the problems, not just checking the final numeric answer. This also allows us to provide students with more detailed and useful feedback, explaining exactly what was wrong. Another important feature of Stack is that you not only have multiple ways of comparing student answers to teachers' answers, from algebraic equivalence to checking what is included or excluded from the student answers. You also have an option to consider not one, but many other possible responses from students and assign marks accordingly, meaning that you can avoid penalizing students for carryover errors, in which they made a mistake in part 1 of the question and carried that mistake over the later part, but got the procedure correct. This is done by an algorithm called the potential response tree. We are going to install Stack and Moodle in a virtual machine or VM for testing purposes, especially if you don't already have access to Stack. Even if you do, fully testing Stack questions can be challenging, as you cannot experience the questions from the student's perspective due to the strict security measure applied by your system administrator. And there are also useful backend tools to run and test Stack expressions without having to set up a complete questions, so it can be a big time saver. You will need to download and install the Oracle VirtualBox software and a Linux operating system image. For this video, I adopted the guide from the official Stack assessment website. Here is what we're going to do. First, we install the virtual machine with Ubuntu 22.04 as its operating system. We then install and configure MySQL database and the Apache web server. Next is Moodle LMS. We then install Maxima, which is the backend of Stack, and the Stack plugin to Moodle. After that, we can confirm the Stack installation. And finally, if you don't want the hassle of going through all the installation steps, I will show you how to use the virtual machine that I built, preloaded with Moodle and Stack, for developing and testing your assessments. This video is divided into multiple chapters, so you can skip and jump to a particular segments that you like. Now assume that you have downloaded the VM software and the Linux image. Let's install the VM first. We then create a new VM, link it to the Linux image, and configure the operating system, allowing us to share a folder and the clipboard between the host and the guest machines. We now configure the VM network interface so that we can access the Stack system from outside of the VM, i.e. the host machine. Let us install and set up the MySQL database in the Apache web server. We have a problem starting the Apache service due to the wrong PHP version that is currently active. To fix this, we're going to disable the PHP version 8.1 and switch to PHP version 7.4, which is required by Stack Maxima engine. Now that we can start the Apache server, let's see if we can access a web page from within and outside of the VM. In this section, we're going to install Moodle Learning Management System in our VM, but first we need to have Git as our source control system. We'll then create new courses and users in our new Moodle LMS. As part of Moodle installation, we need to configure some server's parameters, such as memory limit and maximum file size allowed for upload. We do this by modifying the php.ini file. Now it's time to install Maxima, which is a computer algebra system or CAS. The stack question type will then be added to Moodle LMS as a plugin. Now that we have completed the installation of Moodle and Stack, let's run some tests to check if the installation is in fact successful. Let's say that you have a pre-built VM loaded with Moodle and Stack. Here is how you can deploy the VM and run it as a Moodle-Stack server. We first load the VM image, configure the system and its network interface. And now we can access the Moodle server from both inside and outside of the VM. That's the end of the video. If you find building the VM from scratch too difficult, you may want a pre-built VM loaded with Stack and Moodle, ready to be deployed without any installation required. Until next time, thank you for watching.